Hey, and good morning this mid-Monday morning on the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I hope you're doing well. It's a Monday. I saw the stock markets in Japan go crazy over the weekend. Or this morning at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be. I don't know what kind of day it's gonna be, but it is a Metric Monday here on the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show, and I don't know if it's a good thing or not because the way all these things do. I got a controversial topic. Is planning poker always needed? I'm going to propose that it may not always be needed. And this is the discussion. I'll welcome comments, thoughts, questions, how it is. I might dive into a couple controversial issues. Some people just don't like pointing all together. So that's another one. Should the whole team be involved? I don't know. So let's talk about that a little bit today on the show. In this 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show, I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a very practical and tactical way. They're going to go very practical today. So you can bring more value to customer, not work so hard to bring that value to customer, and have a little fun along the way. And oh God, it's controversial. I put that in the title. This is like, go see how this works on YouTube and all the algorithms. Oh my God, he's talking about something controversial. It is not in the IT world. It is from another world. No, it has not. They don't care. But from a planning poker perspective, do you always need to have everyone in there? And if anybody doesn't know about planning poker, is the idea of coming up with an estimate, a point estimate, rather than just a count a number of things you're working on in a particular sprint or a Kanban or however you want to do it, to give a size estimate to what you're about to work on. And in planning poker, the idea is that everyone on the team participates in coming up with the size. And I want to say it depends on how your team is formulated. Now, not everyone's the perfect agile Scrum team where everyone can do everything and everyone's doing the same work. There's a lot of hybrid teams or customized teams out there where different people have different skill sets and they do different things. And maybe it's just two people, right? Maybe it's one person. It just depends on where they bring, or maybe someone's going to be assigned. And I'm going to talk about that. And that's controversial too. Do you pre-assign work to people? We're not really going to get into pre-assign or non-pre-assign, but it does impact whether or not planning poker makes sense. Now, where planning poker makes the most sense. If work is not pre-assigned, if work is not assigned to a particular person because of what their skill sets are, planning poker makes perfect sense. It makes sense because now you get everyone kind of look at what's going on. And I go into a more benefit of planning poker, why I do it. Maybe on the next session, we'll talk about planning poker, why I think it's important, why I think it's helpful from an agile coach perspective, right? What we're talking about here is, do I need to have the whole team involved and give an estimate for points for a particular piece of work? I'm going to say no. You don't always have to. Is it preferred? Is it better? In some cases, I say definitely yes, it's better. More real, like I said, if the work is not pre-assigned, if anybody can grab stuff off the backlog in the sprint backlog or whatever the immediate backlog you're using, then planning poker is really helpful in giving an idea. And there are benefits of planning poker, like discussing what the work is and get everyone on the team to understand what's going on. Now, where you don't need planning poker, however, there can be a miniature version of planning poker. Should the planning poker just be, because here's another thing. Some teams have a dev and a tester, right? They just do. It's just the nature of the beast. It's still there. They don't all have, everyone can develop and everyone can test. That's the ideal condition. But sometimes you have some QA specialists that just really, really good at QA and they do their thing. And you have people that are really good in dev and they do their thing. So sometimes that formulates in teams. Now, Where you don't need to do planning poker. Here's where you don't need to do planning poker necessarily. Now, would it be good to get there? Yes. Let's say right now, from a practical perspective, if work is pre-handed out to people, you may not need planning poker. What you may need is if you have a dev and a QA pairing thing, they may need to talk about it. Like if it's a smaller subset of group people doing development QA, or maybe it's development, you may get some feedback on it between a QA and a dev. What should be the points for a particular story? You may not need planning poker, because if no one else is going to see it, then they may not need to do it. Now, there's benefits of everyone seeing it. You can see how other people estimate. You can, if you're doing a group thing, it gives you information on what the point is, so everyone kind of see how other people are pointing and why, so they can grow in their growth pattern for pointing stories. Why did you say that? What made you pick that? And they may adjust their way of pointing based on what they heard other people say, why they think it's more complex or not, and that may affect the way they point their own stories. However, when you first start out, or in the process, as you mature, when everyone hears how they point, you may not need to do planning poker every time, because there's enough information on the team. And this is controversial, what I'm saying, that not everyone needs to give the estimate. Now, I don't think a manager or a lead tech person should give an estimate to work that other people are going to do. I think the people that are working on it should provide the estimate and maybe some thought process behind their estimate. But I don't think that leads or managers or people disassociated with actually doing the work should provide the estimate. Definitely not product owners. They shouldn't do it. It should be people in the team, whether it be a combination of a developer and tester, just a developer, just the testers, whoever that set up. And that's the controversial point. Like I'm saying, it doesn't always have to be the whole group doing the pointing. This is another variation. If you may have a team, like if you do less, and usually it's a one big backlog, one product owner, and multiple teams. Now you can apply the same idea to Scrum. They have a Scrum. They do less of Scrum. There's a time box. There's more than one team working on the same thing. And some of my Scrum teams, I had a team A and a team B. Now I don't necessarily need both teams to point. However, if I'm going to be in the habit of moving some work from team A into team B and some work from team B into team A, then the planning poker with everyone in the room makes more sense. However, if I'm going to have a small team, maybe there's two devs or one dev or one tester, and one dev and one tester, you don't necessarily need to do planning poker. Now, should they talk to each other? Yes, they should. But I've been in cases where maybe just the developer just points it out, and part of that team might say, well, why'd you do that? Why'd you pick? Maybe they picked a point and they may say, well, it kind of seems like more work than that. I think we should bump it up to a next level, because I'm going to have so many variations in how I test it. So let's bump it up to next level and points. And that's perfectly fine. But in that scenario where you have small groups or individuals who do the work, you may not necessarily have to do planning poker where everyone shows their cards up at the same time. I should have brought a card. I have them all over my desk. I should have brought one up, but you may not need to do that. So there is some chances where planning poker is not necessary, right? And don't push it if it doesn't make sense. Go for the planning poker if your plan is to have everyone to be able to work on the work and be able to go anywhere you want. Planning poker is perfect. But if you're setting up a situation, they kind of craft, because we're not the ones that tell them how to do it. We're telling them there's optimal ways of working. But maybe sometimes the teams would like, well, I want to take this, I want to take that. And they're pre-picking the work, right? Like, I'm going to pick this, you pick those 5, I'll pick these 5. And there's many situations where like you at the beginning of spring planning, well, this person's got 6 things, this person has 4, this person has 20, and you want to move things around. In those scenarios where those teams are, planning poker may not necessarily be needed, However, the discussion's good because sometimes people want to hear it's the first time they do it. When you're doing refinement, you're doing a planning poker, or maybe you're doing sprint planning, and they're trying to come up with an estimate, but sometimes it's not needed. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's very controversial that I said that you may not need to do planning poker if individuals, which is also very controversial, are taking work, pre-selecting work, or work's being handed out to individuals. It's kind of a carryover. You do this, you do that, based on what they're working on, what's the priority, skill sets, fast, speed, whatever, turnaround, priority for the customer. There's those factors in there, but don't become a stickler for everything has to go in planning poker because it may not have to. I just want to provide that little bit of flexibility. If you really want to be a stickler, yeah, I would prefer planning poker no matter what. But if they have a habit of doing it, you have to figure out if they have a habit of selecting or pre-assigning work during sprint planning or whenever, you have to figure out a bigger game plan to how you want to get it where anybody can take the work off the tree, right? Out of the backlog. If you're not there yet, then planning poker may not necessarily be there, and you may be just causing angst or conflict in the situation. Why do we do this? I'm the only one to do this, and I'm the only one. You may be flexible on how they want to do that, and you may just let them point it for a while until the point where you feel like the team is ready for the ability for anybody to grab something off the backlog. So I just wanted to share that out. It's a little controversial. And how do you do assign points? And again, points themselves are controversial in this world, but I just want to provide that as something. Is it becoming less agile? I would say yes, it is less agile when you don't do the planning poker when everyone gets to see the work. Because in the agile world, anybody can, because priority, if I get done early, I'm going to grab it, I'm going to work it versus waiting, and that person may never get to it. But having the ability to be agile, flexible, the agility for anybody on the team to grab work, it's a different story, right? That's the ultimate goal. But if you're in a immature team where they are still handing out one-on-ones and people are assigning work, it may be okay not to do planning poker, right? You have to judge it. You have to see it. But I wanted to share that with you because I know it tugs at the heartstrings of real agile people and scrum masters and, people that really want to have the agility. It does happen. But I'm going to say, don't force it if it's not necessarily there. Think more broader, long-term planning. How do I want to get the team more agile in what they do? Is the planning poker the avenue for what you want to do? I would say no. You should talk about why the benefit everyone be able to pick work. And once they decide to go that route, then get into the planning poker aspects of agility and Scrum and Kanban or less or whatever you're doing, right? Once they decide they as a group want to be able to pick any item or whatever the next priority item is on the sprint backlog, then you get into planning poker. If they're not going to set it up that way, it's good to demonstrate planning poker, how it might work, but you might come off of it a while until the team matures enough to do that where they can all grab an assignment, which is the ultimate agility goal, right? So I wanted to share that with you. I hope you're doing well because we want to bring work quicker, faster to the customer. We don't want to frustrate team members. We don't want to do that. So with that, I want to wish you all happy scrumming, a great day. I hope on this Monday your stocks are okay. Don't sell. Don't panic. I don't know. Don't take my advice on the stock market, but don't panic over one day. Remember, it's the long term that really counts. Anyway, I hope you're doing okay out there, and I wish you the best. Again, happy scrumming. Take care, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.